just covering the last bit that got cut off, so it must also be considered to only work within areas which you're confident in to prevent any further damage to injuries. So, for example, if a back specialist was looking at something to do with a shoulder, they may mess it up and make the injury worse. So the advantages of becoming a sports physiotherapist includes having the opportunity to have a high salary and possibly work with elite athletes if you are highly experienced. This is an advantage because it means you won't have to have a second job on the side to generate more income. The second advantage is that you can make it different every day, meeting new people with different injuries, working with a team and then moving around with clients. It is an advantage because it will keep you interested and keep testing the different skills you can obtain. A third advantage is that you'll gain a large skill set in the job from working with lots of different clients and having to plan different treatment programs as well as using different techniques to cure injury. This is an advantage because it allows you to continue to learn and utilise all these different skills and just to continue to grow as a person. However, there are disadvantages in this job. It takes a long time and costs a lot of money to train and become qualified. This is a disadvantage because it will generate a large amount of debt and will prevent you from having to go straight into work and earning money. The second disadvantage is that highly experienced sports physiotherapists will be working away from home if they are attached to an athlete or a team, and this is a negative because it means you may not have much downtime and may have to constantly be travelling around. Another disadvantage is that it is very competitive and therefore only the very best will be able to become successful. This is a negative because you could put all the training in and just be unable to gain clients or a job in a clinic or something like that. And it is also a disadvantage that there are few progressions after becoming a sports physiotherapist. This is a disadvantage because it means there isn't much incentive to work hard, and if you do not want to open your own clinic or be a university teacher, then you are very limited to working with just clients. There is also the disadvantage that you would have to work very long days and possibly weekends because that is when teams will be playing sports and normal people aren't working, so are able to have an appointment. This is a negative because it means you will be working a different pattern to most people and have to sacrifice elements of your personal and social life. A large disadvantage is that when you are starting up is quite unstable job and you'll have to generate your own client base, and this would mean going through dry periods where you cannot find any. This is a disadvantage because you may be unable to cover costs of treating few clients and this may affect your personal life. This job could be really suited to me because I'm so fascinated by the human body and how one weakness can cause a lot of problems for the rest of it. And I also love learning and will be able to enjoy gaining a large variety of skills for the skill set. However, again, it will require me to go to university, which doesn't appeal to me, and the long days and weekends may affect my training, which I really enjoy doing. The job is mainly done inside, which does affect me a lot, as I would prefer to be outside and active for most of the day. One job in the outdoor education sector is a grounds facility worker. In this job, the worker will look after the sports ground facilities like football, cricket and rugby pitches. There are no set requirements in getting into this job, but experience in gardening. Stop making me laugh. Horticulture. My teacher. Horticulture. No, Dad, it's a screen recorder. Horticultural sports and amenity turf management will help give more experience. The job can also be reached by gaining an apprenticeship. Some workers will require to have a driving licence in order to have transport to different sites. The salary for this job varies, with experience starters will earn between £17,000 to £21,000 an annum. A more experienced worker will earn between £21,500 to £27,000, and a highly experienced worker will earn around £48,000 per annum. Workers may also get bonuses and paid overtime as well as paid accommodation if they are required to live on site or stay there for a long period of time. The transport for this job will be a bit more complex than other jobs described because the worker will need a car or a truck to transport equipment and themselves between the different sites they are working on. Therefore, the worker will need to cover costs, if not already being paid for petrol maintenance. The progressions of this job are into supervisor roles, team leader, head of section, and gaining training from the institution of groundmanship. The skill set required for this job are the ability to interpret plans and drawing, practical skills to operate heavy equipment. The hours of this job are around 37 a week, and this may include evenings and weekends to prepare the grounds for fixtures or recover it from after one. The ground facility worker job is not particularly competitive, which could relate to the lack of entry requirements needed to enter. However, it may be hard to find work if there aren't many parks and pitches in your area. The health and safety considerations would have to include being able to safely operate the equipment that is being used and to have an extensive knowledge about pesticides and chemicals which are used on the grounds. So the advantages of this job is that it's always outside, which is an advantage because it keeps you active and allows you to have fresh air and not remain stuck at a desk inside all day. Another advantage is that it has a reasonable salary for what the job requires you to have before entering into it, especially for those without experience. This is a positive aspect of the job because it doesn't require you to have a second job, and also low entry requirements would not cause a huge debt from the worker. A third advantage is that there are a variety of jobs and tasks to complete each day. This includes preparing and laying turf, rolling and mowing grass, marking lines onto pitches and greens, installing equipment and operating gardening and equipment. This is an advantage because it keeps the worker occupied and doesn't allow you to get bored of doing the same thing every day. However, the disadvantages of this job include it being hard to find work. It is a disadvantage in the profession because it means workers may be left with no or little income at some point, which make their living costs hard to cover. The job is also physically demanding, which can be seen as a negative because it may make the workers susceptible to injuries and discomfort. This could mean they are regularly having time off due to pain, and this could affect their income. A third disadvantage is that not many skills are developed within the job, which could be a disadvantage because it means that they are not learning as much whilst working. Transport being required can also seem as a disadvantage because it means some people may have to get a license in order to enter the job, which is a bad thing as it may cost more money. This job would suit me because it's outside, which I love, and it doesn't require you to go to university, which is a positive for me, and I like how there are a large variety of tasks which can be done across the day. However, it may not be suited to me because the transport is usually required and I cannot yet drive, and there aren't any progression opportunities, which is something I would need because I love having a target than the next thing. The sport and exercise sector. One job in this sector is a sports scientist. This job involves using knowledge of how the body works to help people improve sporting techniques and general health through sport. The entry requirements of this job are a degree in sports science or related, so physical education or psychology, and then a postgraduate degree in a related subject. A sports scientist would go further if they had work experience from the sporting sector, as they would have an improved career prospects. The salary for a sports scientist again varies with the level of experience. If they were a beginner, they would earn around 18,000 per annum, which moves to 35,000 for more experience, and then can increase to 60,000 for a highly experienced one. The location of the job is normally based at an office or consultation studios. If local, it would be possible to walk or use public transport to get there. However, sometimes it will require the worker to travel, in which case they can use public transport or a car. If so, petrol and maintenance costs will need to be considered. Progression for this job includes joining bases in order to work towards accreditation, applying for chartered scientist status. As well as this, there are opportunities to work at universities and schools or large sport organisations, or work as a self-employed consultant or as one in a private or public sector. On top of this, you can move into sport development or performance testing and research. The skills required for this job obtain include having, that doesn't make sense. The skills required for a sports scientist include having the ability to analyse physical and sporting performance and have the ability to apply scientific ideas and principles to a sport and example. These will require a lot of practice and experience to have a good level. The hours required to work are around 38 hours per week. This could include weekends and evenings. The job is very competitive, which can be seen from the amount of people who take sport and exercise science degrees. The health and safety elements of the job need to be considered, being able to use the equipment, have a good knowledge on where and how to use it safely with clients and performers. There will also have to be in terms of keeping their clients safe. This is physically and psychologically. Physically by protecting them in research and experiments, and psychologically by protecting data, making sure their information is fully disclosed, which is important for their confidentiality, and just looking after them in experiments. The advantage of this job is that there are a variety of tasks which can be completed throughout the day, including working with sports coaches and therapists, doctors, hospitals in cardiac rehabilitation, research projects, and offering design techniques on the manufacturing sports equipment. This is a good thing about the job because it means there are a variety of different tasks to be completed, which keeps it interesting. The second advantage of this profession is that it's well paid as more experience is gained. This is a positive of the job because it provides an incentive to work hard. There is also an advantage in the job having loads of progression opportunities. This is a good thing because again it provides the worker with an incentive and gives a wide range of aspects they can specialise in if they find one area is more endurable for them than another. However, again, there are disadvantages to this job, which include it being really competitive and hard to get into. This is a negative because it means only the best will be able to make it and get a job. Therefore, it isolates those who are less academic or do not want to go to university. A disadvantage is that the entry requirements are demanding, having to have an undergraduate and postgraduate degree as well as experience is negative because it costs a lot of time and money, which some people may not have if they're wanting to go straight into work or are competing at a high level in their sport. A final disadvantage is that it's demanding working hours, which may fall into weekends or evenings. This can be a disadvantage because it means that the usual times you would have to yourself may be taken, and thus may be inconvenient for those who play in a team or train regularly. This job may be really suited to me because I'm able to do the skills required for the job and enjoy analysing and applying sporting actions, but it also may be suited to me because of the extensive progression opportunities and paths you can take, because it means there's always something different I can try, which appeals to me and my driven personality. However, it may not be suited to me because of it being competitive and hard to get into requires a long time at university and working hard, which again doesn't really appeal to me. I'll do this slide on the next bit. We only have 15 seconds left, sorry.